This short video is to talk to you about significant figures. Significant figures, sometimes shortened to call sig figs, are ways that we know how exact a measurement is. So what we are doing is counting how many digits are significant or how exact our measurement is. So let's get started with some of the rules. Our first rule is that any non-zero digit counts as a significant figure. For example, the number 23 has two digits in it, and both of them are non-zeros. So that means that the 2 is significant and the 3 is significant. So we would say the number 23 has two significant figures. The next number, 145,374, has 6 significant figures. The 1 is significant, the 4 is significant, the 5 is significant, and the 3, 7, and 4 are also significant. The number 467 has 3 significant figures because the 4 is a non-zero, the 6 is a non-zero, and the 7 is a non-zero digit, so all 3 are significant. That's probably the easiest rule. The next rule deals with zeros. And we have a couple different kinds of zeros. For example, sandwiched zeros are zeros that are sandwiched between other numbers, and we always count them as being significant. For example, the number 203 has this zero as sandwiched. Anytime a zero is sandwiched, that counts as being significant. So the number 203 would have 3 sig figs. Also, the number 1001 has zeros here, and they are sandwiched, but they are also both sandwiched by the ones. Think of it like a double cheeseburger. So you have 2 hamburger patties in the middle, but it's still considered a sandwich. So we would count all 4 of these as significant. So the number 1001 would have 4 sig figs. Another type of zero are called leading zeros. And if you think about what leading means, a leader is someone that is in front or leading the way. So if we have a zero that is leading, and this is always a decimal, so we've got, for example, in this number, 0.0023, these two are leading zeros, and leading zeros never count. So in the number 0.0023, only the 2 and the 3 count as being significant. These 2 zeros in front do not count, so that number would only have 2 sig figs. This next number, 0.000333, all 3 of these zeros are leading, so they would not count as being significant. Only the 3's would be significant, so this has 3 sig figs. So those are leading zeros. The last rule is about trailing zeros. And if you think about what a trailer is, that is something that comes behind. So in the number, for example, 200, we have zeros that come behind. This rule can get a little bit confusing because trailing zeros count if there's a decimal anywhere in the number. So for example, the number 200 here does not have a decimal in it. So these 2 zeros do not count as being significant. Only the 2 is significant. So that gives 1 sig fig. However, if we did put a decimal at the end, then the 2 zeros would be significant. So for the entire number, we would have 3 sig figs. And I know you are thinking that it's the same number whether it has a decimal point there or not. And yes, it's the same number, but it is not the same measurement. By putting that decimal there, we are saying that our measurement is exactly 200. Whereas in the measurement above, without the decimal point, that is really, we're just being significant to the hundreds place. We cannot say with exactness that we are measuring all the way out to the ones place. So that is the difference. Let's move on and do some practice problems. In this first problem, 405.6, this is considered a sandwiched zero, so we would have 1, 2, 3, 4 sig figs. So we just write 4 as our answer. The next problem, these are considered leading zeros, and if you remember from our rules, leading zeros do not count. So only the 9 and 7 count, so we would have 2 sig figs here. Our next number, these are trailing zeros, and trailing zeros count if there is a decimal, and there is no decimal, so these do not count, so we only have 1 sig fig here. The next one, 4.0. This is a trailing zero, but there's a decimal, so it counts. So we have 2 sig figs. And in the last number here, none of these are zeros, so they all count. We have 7 sig figs. Hopefully this video has given you a better understanding about how to count significant figures.